Hello, everybody. Welcome. So, before I tell you what we did in the project, let's start by why we did it in the project. So, if we look at assurance, we look at revenue assurance, fraud management, churn, bad debt, we see that in the industry, telcos, digital service providers are losing in all these domains together about 4% on the average. 4% of the bottom line is a very big number. Now, when we look historically at research done by organizations like the TM Forum, like the CFCA, we see that these numbers are not changing a lot. So we have great systems to prevent these numbers from going up. But 4% of losses is really a huge number. So our champions, Deutsche Telekom, British Telecom, Orange, and Croatian Telecom came to us and say, okay, how we can reduce these numbers? And one of the thoughts that we had, based on studies, that was that the amount of leakages from services that are running for a long time, voice, SMS, data, are really going down. But the problem is with the new services. And why there is that problem? Because when you have a new service, you need time to learn what are the risks in this new service. And then you need to put it in the traditional revenue assurance, fraud management, churn systems that were based quite a lot on knowledge, human knowledge translated into the systems. So we came with an approach saying, okay, let's try to apply machine learning and AI on top of this. Let's see if we manage to get results. The good answer is that several of the companies participating in this project, Bulb, IBM, Amdocs, FICO, are already starting, this catalyst started 1 year ago, we are already starting to use this methodology in real projects. And per use cases that we are applying it, we are managing to get a 30% reduction in the losses. So if you think about the 4%, if you apply this methodology across the industry, across all the business lines, we are expecting to get a reduction from 4% of losses to 3% of losses. It is huge. And the last thing that we put here is a new state of mind. Until now, all the assurance services were heavy services that sit aside, long integration, a long time until to operate them. And we are becoming digital, so also assurance should become digital services. So we're creating a marketplace for business assurance services in which service providers can use the services using APIs. So I already mentioned the great team that we have, and after the short presentation, you can ask them questions and get detailed answers. We show this in two use cases. The first use case is the use case in which a customer wants to buy a new device, and then we want to evaluate what is the risk there. And we're looking at three types of risk: churn, fraud, and bad debt. And Bulb is calling the systems of FICO, IBM, and Amdocs through APIs that we contributed to the TM Forum to get the answers, and according to that, to apply intelligence to see what we should offer the customer. Should we give him the service, or should we offer him something else? And the nice thing is that by using TM Forum data models and APIs, the integration was really simple. The second use case was based on Orange requirements. They requested to look at billing on behalf or carrier billing, a situation in which the customer is billing for third-party services. In the first use case, we used supervised learning. We had information about customers that committed fraud, bad debt, churn in the past, so we used that to build the machine learning models. In the second use case, Orange came and said, we don't know what are the problems. Please detect things that look like problematic. So we use unsupervised learning to detect outliers, and then we can show these outliers and say, okay, this partner looks suspicious, this group of customers looks suspicious, please go and investigate. So that was a very quick introduction to what we did in the Catalyst. You are all invited to see it downstairs, and now Tandy will ask us difficult questions, and then you can ask us difficult questions, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that overview, Gadi. We're going to dive into a couple more details from what you've already touched upon. But before that, let's just have a quick round of introduction. So this time I'll start on the far end. Andreas, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andreas Manolis, and I'm from BT Group. So I'm in business assurance, recently rebranded from revenue assurance. So we are disrupting ourselves to get forward with what we do. And I look at strategy and risk management. So 2 to 3 year planning, getting us ready for the future.
Hello, Sophie Nachman from Technology and Global Innovation, Orange Corporate Division. I'm very pleased to be in this Catalyst with this great team.
I am Gadi Zolotorevsky from Amdocs. I am leading there, among other things, the inclusion of business assurance of machine learning and AI in business assurance. A part of that, I'm co-leading with Andrea and Gina, the business assurance team of the TM Forum.
Thank you very much. So diving straight in, the real innovation here is using AI and ML and also big data analytics, right? So can you tell us a little bit more about how this is improving business assurance?
So I think, and I mentioned it before, that the key impact is the bottom line. So we are able to detect things that we were not able to detect them before applying human knowledge. So I will give you a short example. In a customer, we applied machine learning to detect fraud. And we detected, buying devices, you expect that people that will buy a high-priced device will commit fraud. We detected that a lot of the fraudsters are buying the lowest priced device, because that way they don't have security check and permit them to enter to the network and then to commit fraud. But this is something that our experts didn't expect. So machine learning is permitting us to detect new things.
And it's also not only about improving, it's actually essential for sustaining. So with the IoT and 5G environments that are coming on, so multi-layered party environments and explosion of devices, we cannot function with a human-centric team anymore. We've got to augment with machines and machine learning. The kind of stuff that Gadi's talked about. Also, the systems need to be intelligent themselves. So as an example, we all deal with known knowns, and we've got configurations to find those. The other difficult bit is known unknowns, where you're trying to find them. But as Gadi said, the most difficult is unknown unknowns. So this is where you need to put algorithms in place into your data sets to actually find assurance and fraud issues. And one example is not just AI. We then use data science techniques. So you can look it up. You can look at Benford's law, which is a natural occurrence of number ranges. And then if you actually apply that, you'll actually find interesting anomalies in your data set. That's not human. That's algorithmic assessments, which is what Google is doing and all the other FANGs are doing. So we better get quick and get up to date with that. Otherwise, we will be taken over by the machines. So let's use machines to protect ourselves.
This is important to be ready for digital transformation, and this technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning, helps to do that. And also, what I would like to mention, open API. It is to get a business assurance marketplace. It makes it very agile and flexible. It's possible to select technologies, and also for example, for one score, for the fraud score, risk score, or to compare different results and maybe to do average or whatever. And also this is important for the use case, I think of the orange use case, on direct carrier billing or billing on behalf, to be able to prevent fraud and overpaying subscriber, overcharging partner, and also and so on.
Thank you. So it's really about keeping pace and remaining competitive, the importance of it. This isn't the first phase of this catalyst, as you mentioned, Gadi. It's been running for over a year. So this is phase 3, if I'm correct? Yes. Yep. So can you tell us a little bit more about the specific innovations that you've created this cycle?
Okay, so I think that there are 2 points that are very important about this cycle. The first one is that things that were pure concepts 1.5 years ago are now things that are being used by FICO, IBM, and Amdocs in real life with real results. So 1 year ago, I couldn't tell you this impact can be 30% of the losses. Today, due to the experience of all these companies applying these methodologies in real life, then this is a big impact. It's not just a story, it's a reality. The second thing is that we really advanced with the use of APIs. The integration this time was really, really easy. We just applied APIs and did integration. And the third important thing that it's new is new use cases. We need to show that how machine learning and AI can apply not just to 1 or 2 use cases, but to many use cases. I think that with this phase of the catalyst, we have around 10 different use cases.
Anything to add on that?
I think yes, the customer, to integrate customer experience in various areas, and it helps to break the silos of classical business assurance and revenue assurance solution.
So just very quick, sorry, Andreas, do you want to add something?
No. All I say is that and this is the importance of the phases, as you say. So in this particular phase, BT have taken a sidestep and allowed other user cases, but we're all connected, and especially Deutsche Telekom also in front, who hasn't been active in this one, that we will create further phases to continue on this journey. But I think Orange took a lead in this one.
Great, yeah. So several people must know already about how TM Forum collaboration works, and there's ongoing collaboration as well as the Catalyst programs which run in cycles. And this team, I know, is very in phase with the ongoing collaboration around business assurance as well. So when Andreas says, there are other organizations which maybe took slightly a sidestep in the Catalyst, they're still very involved in the ongoing work on the same topic within TM Forum. So it's interesting to see that evolution. Gadi, you mentioned over 10 use cases this time round, and then the others that you've done in other phases. Okay, so 10 altogether. Can the solutions that you've developed here be also applied to other industries?
The short answer is yes. So industries like utilities face very similar problems as telcos regarding fraud, regarding revenue leakage, bad debt, and the technologies should be applied there, but you need an adoption. So the same way we just didn't take an algorithm and say, okay, let's put it on telco and it will run. You need domain knowledge to tune the algorithm, to find the features, to clean the data. And by the way, we are speaking about machine learning, and sometimes it sounds like magic. 80% of the work is to prepare the data for the machine learning. So you need to do it also for other industries.
So we still need people then. That's good to know. Fantastic. Okay, great.
No, sorry.
Oh, maybe not.
No, I'm saying, and on that, people can do 100 times what they did before. That's the important bit, because again, efficiency and effectiveness is key. So let's put the human being where we need them, in the creativity bit and the ultimate final analysis, rather than crunching data and trying to figure out models. So that's why we augment the machine, and again, it's like we said, it's not only evolution, it's revolutionary, because we are in survival mode. As soon as IoT, 5G, and all these other things explode, we need to do 100 times things. And our business case doesn't stick up to say, I need 100 times more people to do the same coverage. And assurance is all about coverage.
I think the revolution is not in suppressing human intervention, but in keeping human intervention and keeping human inside. This is Orange philosophy. You can do more and be more efficient, but
Great, thank you. We've talked a lot about ecosystems here today and yesterday, so it's interesting to see that, yes, the solutions that you're developing can be extended, albeit adapted, to other industries as we see the boundaries between different sectors being blurred, right? Coming back to TM Forum and the ongoing collaboration, you mentioned a bit, Gadi, very quickly, the assets that were used and then contributed to. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
So, as I mentioned, receiving the data, preparing the data is a very big part of machine learning and AI. I would say it's 80% of the work there. By using assets of the TM Forum, by having an unified data model, it permits to do things much quicker. Another important thing is the use of APIs. If I think about doing a similar catalyst 10 years ago without APIs, would spend typically, and I'm doing catalyst for many years, we spent about 70-80% of the time of the catalyst on the integration. This year, I think the integration itself took less than 2 weeks, and we were focused on the business problem. So that's a huge impact for us. And Andreas, a question for you. Do you see this happening also, not just in a catalyst environment, but in real life, using more and more APIs?
I was going to link that. I think we have to work together to make that happen. And as Sophie said, the API is huge. We need to work with all the vendors, in fact. And it was raised the other day in even the keynote that cloud enablement and connectivity enablement within our own telco vendor community, it's still behind track, and that's what we're finding. So when you get to the new vendors, it's actually easier to say, can I have an API? And they're probably asking, well, what do you want? We want a standard. So we need to work closely with TM Forum and all the vendors to create these connected APIs for the future. And also, vendors need to also drive their product set up so we become API-centric. So are we seeing it yet? As defined by the keynotes even yesterday, we're behind. We're starting to see it, but there was a call out to all the vendors to actually accelerate their striving to this digital world and actually become API-enabled, cloud-connected. Because again, just the biggest thing is partner on partner going forward, how the big business assurance will become even more important, because you're going to have multi-party connected devices, connected people, it is about people, and connected vendors. Who's going to assure that? How are we going to assure that? How are we going to make sure that there's an audit trail complete? And how do we make sure there's accuracy in there? Already is a problem trying to create accuracy within our own closed ecosystem. Try to do that with an open ecosystem. So there's going to be more pressure. So the answer is there's a lot more that we need to do to make it happen. Or actually things will go wrong and we won't know about them until it's too late.
That would be a shame, learning about it retrospectively. I don't know how you could fix that. So it brings me on to my next point. How important and what is the actual scope of the impact on the digital service provider as we see them evolving from CSP to DSP and pure DSPs, in fact? What's the impact there?
So you need to think about what is different for a digital service provider than a traditional service provider from the point of view of assurance. And I can think of two, if I want to focus on two critical things. One is, and Andreas mentioned, the number of partners. It's a much more complex ecosystem. The second is the pace of change. Everything is changing all the time, faster and faster. And for that, you need a system that can learn how to adapt itself to the changes. You know, typically if you have an expert that needs to learn a new ecosystem, learn new things, it takes some months. But in some cases, in the new digital ecosystem, the lifespan of the service will be some months. Then there will be a new service. So humans are not enough to catch up. They are very important. Machine learning will not replace them, but they need help.
The other one on a DSP is we've managed for many, many, many years to retrofit new environments to our existing one. So use our existing technologies, especially around the good old CDR, the call detail record, the XDR, you name it. We always want records so we can have end-to-end trails and stuff. That's going for the future. Yeah, we know the challenges already with the new providers because that slows down the pace of the customer experience that's there. So we move into an environment of multiple log files or even non-log files. So I think that's the challenge that goes forward. And also with moving into, you're saying digital, literally we'll become a digital rights management organization as well. Yeah, with all the multi-parties, they're going to want, the likes of Sony, etc., they're going to want a full assurance that what you're providing, they're also getting their revenue share. So we have to assure it, they have to assure it. Who's going to be the joint party to do it? So, well, again, are we going to let an OTT come in and do that for us, or are we going to be active to protect and build trust? So essentially, we have great trust now. How do we maintain it and take trust for the future in the digital world?
Yes, the challenge is to be digital, efficient, and responsible company to be that, and it is very important for the operator to be a trust party.
So we really are talking about ecosystem-based business models already emerging and that will dominate future business. And as you alluded to earlier, Gadi, it's about having each party play its part. I know that within the TM Forum we talked a lot within the business assurance project, the need to increase awareness around business assurance within telcos at every level, but also beyond the telco realm. Are we seeing that happening?
Well, it's happening. Not fast enough, but it's happening. We are seeing leading telcos like the participants in this catalyst that already have business assurance units. So it's happening. It should be faster. I think that part of the work there is to have business assurance as part of the ETOM, so it'd be part of the blueprint of all the organizations.
And on that, it sounds like you have a plan. Is there another phase of this catalyst planned?
Yes, we were just discussing it before we came here internally. We are thinking about a new phase, adding more use cases, new and more adapting new and more algorithms for machine learning, and creating more standards for integration, new APIs that can be used to expand the amount of use cases that we are covering this way.
Fantastic. So if you have any use cases that you'd like to play around with this team, get involved. And be sure to visit the booth. It's downstairs, right? What's the number? It's downstairs. You'll find it.